Yeah, so NerdOtaku is a an organization that started out as a Facebook group in 2009. I actually wasn't part of that group that early. I joined, I think, in 2010. Um, yeah, it was a Facebook group that started for like-minded nerds, I guess, like people who are into anime, games, comics. They like movies. So I think in 2011 they had a meetup. Um, about 15 people attended. It was pretty successful. And then the first one that I was part of organizing was in 2012. And we had about 30 people or so. And um, it's at that meeting, at that hangout, I guess, where I met most of the people who became part of NerdOtaku currently, the organization, not just like the group. Um, so after that um, function, we sat down later on, like we should do this more often. We should, I guess, be a bit more structured, more organized, etc. And we started organizing more frequently and bigger events. That's kind of been our goal since we started, to make something bigger. Like the next thing we do should always be bigger than the previous one. So that's kind of what Nerd Otaku is. So we have done. Um, we are part of Osaka Comic Con. We've done the Meet, which is our esports event, and we do the Animeet, which is our anime specific event. We do LAN parties, which are like PC gaming centric um, events. We do the pizza party, which even has like board games and yeah, and tabletop games, and trivia. I know that's good stuff. Okay, so anime is uh, short for animation. Um, in Japan, there is no distinction between Japanese animation and Western animation. It's just animation there, but the style is clearly different. Especially for those of us who are not Japanese, we can see that the style is different. And to distinguish between non-Japanese animation and everything else, we called the Japanese one anime. Um, and it's got different. It's a medium, like it's not just action stuff or comedy stuff. It's a broad spectrum. I truly believe that there is an anime for everyone, and there's TV shows, there's shorts, there's films. Some of the films have been very popular recently, like Your Name broke a bunch of records even worldwide, and the US. I believe Demon Slayer is the current one. It's only out in Japan at the moment. It's gonna launch worldwide soon. I think that's also going to break a bunch of records. Attack on Titan is currently streaming, and that's very, very popular. I think a lot of people know about that. So yeah, that's kind of what anime is. Gaming, I think everybody knows. Well, most people know what gaming is. That's like video games, ranging from. I started in the Nintendo era, the original Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, PlayStation to PlayStation 5. That's what gaming is. Gaming is very broad. Like, um, there can be all sorts of games as well. Um, it's not just FIFA and Mortal Kombat, etc. Competitive games either. There's story-based games. There's racing games. There's sports games, and you just have to find the kind of game that you like, the one that appeals to you. For example, I really like story-based adventure games, ones that feel like HBO dramas. I give the example of 2020's Game of the Year, The Last of Us Part Two, which even got syndicated by HBO because it really does feel like an HBO show. It's got great acting. It's got a really challenging, great story, really good themes. So yeah, there's a game for everyone. Yeah, and obviously as a part of gaming, there is esports as well. So, if a game is competitive and has enough people who play in that particular competitive video game, you can create a sport around it. And that is what esports is. So in Zambia, we have a lot of people who play FIFA competitively and can earn money from it. That's an esport. We have people who play Mortal Kombat competitively. That's an esport. So that's what esports is. Otaku is basically the Japanese word for nerd. Yeah, it's, and you can be an otaku of anything. However, what it means colloquially is someone who's a fan of Japanese animation or Japanese games. So that's what an otaku is. So nerd otaku is basically the same thing. It's like saying nerd. But yeah, I think it sounds cool. So yeah. I think, yeah, I think it does. I think it very much does have a place in Zambian pop culture. If you look at how popular the MCU is, for example, that's nerd culture. It really is, and it clearly has a place. If you look at how much Black Panther, for example, affected everyone here, rest in peace, Chadwick. It's and it's broad. It's I don't want to use the word mainstream. It can appeal to everyone as long as you give it a chance. As long as you find something that you're into. And I do think it absolutely does have a place. And I think the only challenge is that people don't have access to it, Because it's sad, but there kind of still is some sort of stigma towards gaming and being a gamer, especially if you're older than, I don't know, 12, which is really ridiculous because it would be like shaming someone for reading books or shaming someone for liking movies. It's a medium, right? Um, and that's kind of a hindrance to the growth of gaming as a culture, as a product, as an industry here, because it's harder if the culture remains the same. It's hard to create an industry of game makers or esports players or events around gaming, for example, what we do. So the more that the attitudes skew negatively, then it stunts the growth of the industry here in Zambia. Oh yeah, cosplay, which is basically short for costume play, is when people dress up as characters that they, I guess, um, it's very popular here among our audience. The numbers of cosplayers has increased dramatically. There's a few who I can link to you that do their stuff on Instagram, like Bibiana and Lazambiana Mape. They're really, really good cosplayers, and the numbers just keep growing. And yeah, I think it's, man, there have been some really good cosplays over the years. Just if you look through pictures of the old cosplays from the Comic Cons and the animes, it's really, really impressive. And I think more people should, get into it. It's really, really fun. Well, the biggest one is obviously internet access. Um, the internet is expensive and it is sometimes bad. Like it's not up to scratch in terms of speeds, downloads, upload speeds. That stuff is a hindrance to, because gaming is going digital mostly now. If you're playing on PC, you're probably buying PC games, and PC games are like 50 gig minimum, same as console games. And because internet costs are high, it makes gaming expensive. It's an expensive hobby, which it really shouldn't be a hobby just for the elite. It should be one that even anyone should participate in. So internet costs and availability and quality are a big challenge that gamers face. Also the stigma, the the attitude towards gamers, the negative little stereotypes like, oh, gaming is for kids, wasting your time gaming, etc., or trying to convince corporates that there is a market that can be catered to here, and them not really getting that is a big problem that Zambia has, that we should really fight. And it's really frustrating, especially with corporates, because it's like, even if you don't care about video games, even if you don't care about the community, at the end of the day, you care about the bottom line, right? You care about money. Here is a gap in the market where there's money to be made, and you are not tapping into it at all. I don't know why. We are here to explain in detail how you can get something out of it. We are self-funded in Otaku, and we've managed to carve out something for ourselves. What more you guys who have got more, like you have more that you can give with your resources, and that's kind of very frustrating. Also, there's very specific challenges that women gamers face. Like I was talking to a colleague of mine, and she was saying it's hard to be like a pro esports player, because like at 18 you have to be the one who's cooking or looking after, babysitting or something, and also the whole stigma of, oh, girls don't play video games, blah blah blah, and it's really weird and backwards, and something that we should fight, because it's outdated. It's an outdated way of thinking, and it's a major hindrance. Like, we shouldn't do that. Games are for everyone, no matter your sex, no matter your gender. It doesn't matter. Games are for everyone. Yeah, so we do a bunch of events. Like I mentioned beforehand, we do like the meet, which is esports, anime, which is anime. Yeah, we do a bunch of events. We have a few lined up for next year. COVID kind of did us wrong in 2020, so 2021, hopefully, not hopefully, we're going to be back in 2021. Our postponed events will finally hit. We're hoping that the audience is there for us. Yeah. Do we earn money? We do earn money. We usually, because we spend our own money, and because we want to make the events bigger than the previous ones, everything that we earn, we funnel it back into the next event so that it's bigger than the previous one. So that can only be sustainable for so long, because if we do have something and then it doesn't really pan out, we fall short. We do have a few corporate sponsors, like for the Global Game Jam, Liquid Telecom sponsors on that. They're going to be sponsors for this coming Global Game Jam. I guess this is going to be an announcement, some scoops for you. NerdOtaku are going to be hosting this year's Global Game Jam. That's going to be online only. Links will be provided on our website, which is nerdotaku.org. Yeah, so some corporates do sponsor us. It's mostly been Liquid Telecom Zambia though. So hopefully others come in and be like, hey, we see value here. We see how we can work together. We also work with Rovet Foods as well, and Tigule.com. So there is corporates that like look at us and be like, hey, there's something that we can do with these guys. I think the only way that we can get Zambians to see it as viable is if we have more esports events where the prize money is substantial, and we have broadcasting of those esports to show how many fans there are of said sports and said athletes, because they are athletes. I think that just a sensitization, stuff like this, if someone is watching and then they want to find out more about how you can start earning money using gaming as a platform, that would help, because there's multiple streams of income that you can use gaming as your basis. It could be streaming, content creation. It could be esports itself. It could be events. It could be game making. It could be um, gosh, it could be in game making, there's marketing, like goodness, there's so many industries adjacent to gaming that would make Zambia so much money. And it's just a matter of finding out which particular industry you're into, or that you can attach to that will make money. I think that um, gaming teaches a lot of valuable lessons, life lessons, like not giving up, constantly trying again. It's a safe space to fail. You know, it can teach you how to react to failure, and I think that's very, very important. It also is a gateway to tech, right? Like if you're intimidated by technology, if you've been gaming since childhood, when you're presented with a piece of technology that may be alien or foreign to you, it's not going to be very intimidating. It's going to be something that would entice you to interact with tech. And we live in a very fast-moving world in terms of technology. So the using gaming as a way to get people into tech would be very good. Education-wise as well, there's some games that teach various lessons, you know, and using gaming as an avenue for that is a no-brainer. It's how you can inspire young people to get into gaming, and to see it as gaming as a when it culture as a viable career option would only happen if the industry grows. I think we're a couple years away from that. We already have some professional esports players, which is very, very encouraging and really, really good. Uh, uh, and Following their example, you can see how um, esports would be a viable career option. Well, one of the most important ones, like I mentioned earlier, is internet access. So we need faster internet. Like the internet has to be fast. Like it should be good. The ping should be good. Ping is basically how quickly information travels from one end to the other end. So, for example, if you're playing a game and I push the button, right, like I push it now, the amount of time it takes for the information to get to the server and back and then show the action on my screen, that's ping. So, the slower it is, the worse experience we have. And because we don't have uh, servers here, okay, so yeah, so internet access, faster ping, and cheaper internet. I'll bundle all those into one. That's the one thing. The second thing I'll say, which is kind of attached to the internet thing, is more local servers. We need local servers for ping to um, reduce. So if we have more local servers, the ping will reduce, more people will play the games, um, and gaming will grow. The third one would be corporate support. We can only grow so far ourselves. We could grow and become as huge as I can imagine us to be, but that's going to take longer if we do it ourselves. If we get some corporate backing, it's going to be much quicker and they'll get something out of it. We'll get something out of it. The community will get something out of it. So that's actually really, really important. The fourth one would be international corporate recognition by gaming companies. So I would like Sony, Xbox, or even the anime guys to, you know, like your Funimations, Crunchyrolls, to take note of the region, Zambia as the sub-Saharan Africa as a region. I'll say this is even a regional problem. If they take note of our region, we'll get less region locking on our streams. We'll get more shows and games targeted towards us. We will have, if we have some sort of manufacturing plant or something here, we don't have to ship our consoles from the UK or the US. We can just buy our games in our stores here because we're not going to have to pay a premium for taxes and shipping and, you know, someone trying to get money from shipping that stuff here. Games are going to get cheaper because we have our own stuff locally here. And the last thing, I'll be very selfish with this one, would be just, I don't know, more local support, from our brothers, our sisters, our cousins, our neighbors, our friends. If we have more support from them, the same way that they support the music industry, and these other entertainment industries, gaming will grow substantially. So yeah, so that's what I would like. Those are my 5 wishes. If I met a genie, or if I was a genie and I needed 5 wishes, those would be my 5. What's next for me specifically? The next 5 years, ish. I tend not to think that far ahead because it gives me anxiety. But I'd like to see the growth of NerdOtaku. I would like to see, like I said, more servers, more support, etc. Um, I I I write freelance, so I'd like to see more of my articles and, I guess, video production stuff out there. I would like to have an anime film festival here. You know, that's something that's been on my bucket list or whatever for a very long time. I'd like to see a budding game development scene in Zambia. That's another one of my wishes. And yeah, I can see all that happening for me and around me in the next 5 years. Most of those weren't just for me specifically, but yeah, yeah, I can see that. Maybe something into politics as well. Maybe we'll see. Yeah. So thanks for the interview on behalf of me, myself, and the NerdOtaku crew. I hope that we get more, I don't know, interviews and stuff like this. It's really important, and you can find out more about NerdOtaku by checking out our website, nerdotaku.org. I'm sure the links are in the description. Uh, we have an Instagram, a Twitter, a Facebook. We've got a Discord. So just go to the site and you can join our Discord. The next event that's happening soon, which I can advertise, is the Global Game Jam 2021, sponsored by Liquid Telecom Zambia. If you're interested in how video games are made and or making video games, just look for the ad that we're going to have on our site in a couple weeks. I'm putting pressure on my team now. The ad that we're going to have on our site, and you can sign up there. Yeah, thanks.